Welcome to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast. I'm Danielle Van, a cognitive behavioral therapist, life coach, meditation teacher, and author. And this is your go-to show for a powerful blueprint to personal growth and empowerment, where we're digging into the 5 master areas of your life: emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, and financial health and well-being. So if you're tired of feeling stuck and ready to break through the barriers holding you back, whether it's trauma or you simply don't have the tools, you have found the right place. We're combining Eastern and Western medicine with real, raw, unapologetic conversations to shake up your mindset, elevate your life with new ideas, and help you release the old by helping you take action towards the very best version of yourself. Today, you and I are taking a one-on-one deep dive into owning your truth. At every stage of life, we are presented with crossroads, choices, moments where we have to ask ourselves, am I living the life that is true to who I am? We're breaking down the weight of denying your truth and giving you a shift in your perspective to help you be who you are at every stage and corner of your life. Let's not waste another second. The Get Your Life Together Girl podcast starts right now. Owning all of us at every stage of our lives is not easy, right? And you may be wondering, why am I bringing up such a hard truth, a hard question? But the truth is, if you're not asking, who am I? And am I living in conjunction with the person that I want to be? Then you're likely to continue to live your life in the shadows of who you could be. And none of us are meant to live in the shadows. When was the last time you asked, who am I? Am I living in a space that is true for me? It's probably been a long time. It may have been never, right? Unless you've done some work. But it's a question that you have to ask yourself, because the weight of denying your truth is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to break it down in a way that I hope really sticks into your brain and maybe even your heart and gets you into a space of action. We all need to be in a space of action if we want to create something different. Because the weight of pretending to be someone else or to be who you're not, or walking down a path that isn't yours, or continuously dimming your light to fit into a world that doesn't deserve your brilliance, takes its toll. It makes you feel unseen. It makes you feel unloved, unconnected. It makes you push away your truth, the person that you are, how you feel, what you truly need, and you suppress the authentic self. And I mean, it's not a big jump, right? Like if you're suppressing yourself, you probably don't have much inner power, right? And so that's the space that you lose your voice. You're afraid to have conversations. You will not confront the things. You won't make changes. You contently live an unhappy life. Did you hear those words? You contently live an unhappy life. You know what's wrong, and yet you still show up to it day in and day out. It's a space of no voice, very little essence that makes you uniquely you, what makes you unshakable, what makes you strong. So I need you to hear this. Your truth, no matter how messy or uncomfortable, is the one thing that no one can take from you. Your truth is your power. It may not be comfortable to confront. It may even be very painful, but the discomfort is not a sign of weakness, right? Like it's just not there. It's a sign of growth, and fear doesn't go away. It's a sign of authenticity. You heard what I just said. Fear doesn't go away. If I were to step into my life, live as myself, to own my truth, I may still have fear. Fear is an emotion. It is a direction guider, as you've heard me say over and over and over again. It is a mechanism to keep me safe, to give me feedback, to tell me, hey, this may not be aligning, or hey, you may need some more information, or hey, you're doing something that is so big and so vast that it's making your hand shake just a little bit. Fear is not something you have to avoid. It is something you can work with. But when you step into this place of truth, you have the ability to own power. And there you move forward. You heal. You create the life that you want exactly as you want it. How do we get there? Right? That's the question. How do we get there? And it is by this standard, knowing that you cannot rush this experience, that you're going to have to take a moment to reflect. And so let's do that, right? I want you to close your eyes if you're not driving, right? I know many of you listen on the way to work or on the way back or dropping the kids off at school or wherever. But if you're not driving, I want you to close your eyes. If you're doing this while driving, do this later, right? File it away, but close your eyes. And I want you to really think about, how do you feel in your body? Are you connected to yourself? How about, how do you feel in your mind? In your spirit? How does the life that you're living align with the life that you want? More so, does this life align with who you've said you've always wanted to become? Now, if you're in a space that you are working towards goals and you are still trying to climb up this space of your life, right? This ladder of the pinnacle of where you're trying to reach, and you haven't quite gotten there, the answer is still yes, because you're still moving toward that space. But if this life that you've created looks nothing like what you have been intentional about, you must be honest. And I mean brutally honest. Is your career fulfilling, or is it draining you? Are your relationships nurturing you, or are they leaving you feeling invisible? Is your inner dialogue, that inner voice, kind? Or does it break you down and bully you at every turn? We've been taught this, especially as women, to put our needs off to the side, right? Put others first, to give endlessly, to serve, to love. And we are not taught to prioritize our truth or ourselves. I said this yesterday to my son. Sent me an emergency text. Mom, today's a field trip. I need my shirt. And it was for me like, okay. And he's panic texting. And I'm like, I can't leave my office. I have people that I'm about to meet with. I have sessions. I can't leave. And he is so distraught. And of course, my mother heart says, push everything to the side. Go take him the shirt. This is a priority. And then the rational side to me says, this is the 5th time you've forgotten something. And I've had to push everything aside. And my text to him was, see if you can borrow a shirt. And I need you to understand that your emergencies aren't always my top priority. Oof, did you hear that? And that's a hard lesson between mother and son, right? That's a hard lesson between you and anyone else. Your emergency doesn't always have to be my top priority. That's such a minor thing, right? He was safe. He had food, like shelter. He had a ride. It wasn't a big deal, but yet to him it was. It was his emergency. To me, I couldn't drop everything. And that's really what we've been taught. And yet when we do that, we lose ourselves in the process of our lives. We begin to ask everyone else for permission to exist as we are. We go out and we talk to people that can't validate us. In fact, they do the complete opposite, and they try to break us down, and we begin to listen, and we forget to validate our own truth. And we begin to listen and say, you know what? Maybe we are a failure. Maybe we do really not show up as a parent. Maybe we suck at our job. Maybe we have a really dysfunctional marriage because it's me. And that is the voice of someone else. You see, when you own your truth, you begin to honor this full spectrum of who you are. And everybody else's truth sounds like secondary recordings. It's like, yeah, I can listen to you. Yeah, I believe a little bit of that. I don't believe all of this. And I'm okay. When you own your truth, You have the ability to hear. You acknowledge the beauty of your growth, and you have the courage that it takes to face the parts of you that you really have been hiding from, or that you hide altogether. It's saying, this is who I am right now, and I'm worthy of love and respect and success, and I'm safe, and I don't really care what the world is demanding on me. This is me. One of the biggest podcast episodes that I've ever done had to do with how hard it is to actually heal and how we have to get out of our own damn way. And in that episode, I talk about the pain of growth. It's not pretty, right? It is not cute. It's messy. It's raw. It hurts. It's all about letting go. It's understanding that the things that you've taken on don't even belong to you in the first place. And then there's this guilt, blame, and shame that comes up that's like, well, why did I spend so much time living this life like this? Because it doesn't feel good. And the truth is, pain is a part of growth. Fear is a part of healing a lot of times. To grow means you have to break free from all of these things that you've wrapped yourself up in, the comfort zone, the pain, the chains, the limiting beliefs, the conversation you had with so-and-so that made you want to bite your nails and cry and kind of rethink your existence, right? We wrap ourselves in this. And to peel the layers of that off is hard. It hurts. Why did that person say that? Why did I respond this way? Why did I give validation to somebody who has never been able to support me? In your lifetime, you are going to face moments where your truth feels unbearable. But what is it? And if you don't know, don't worry. We're going to figure it out. But I want to talk about the fact that you are in a space, no matter how old you are, no matter what has happened, that you have the power to change the trajectory of your experience. Did you hear that? I don't care if you're 26, if you are 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. I don't care if you are 75 years old and you are sick of your own BS and you're like, you know what? I still have time. I still have this day. I still have time for the relationship that I want, whether that's with this partner or not. I still have time to hit these dreams that I haven't achieved. I have time to go back to school. I have time to let that go. I have time to go and create whatever it is. You have the ability to jump into the next chapter of your life. And here's the truth. You first must feel safe enough to do that. Safety. You hear me talk about safety all the time. It's the root of everything, because if you're not safe, nothing works, right? So what does safety mean? How can I get to a space that it feels safe enough to be safe, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially safe? I want you to think about that. What does that look like? Let's start with this. What's your definition of safety? It's going to be different. All of us have different emotional definitions. So what's your definition of safety? Let me quickly give you the, traditional definition for each of these. And then you need to come up with your own so that you can own your truth. But mental safety refers to the state of feeling secure in your thoughts, right? In your cognitive processes. It is where you can think and learn and make decisions without that fear of judgment or the fear of overload, really, right? Where you have protection mentally from harm and you have the skill set to process your trauma and your pressure on the outside and that internal pressure and all of the negative self-talk. Emotional safety is that ability to express your emotions and your feelings openly without that fear of judgment or rejection or even emotional harm. And it's creating an environment within yourself and for others that you feel supported, accepted, validated, and you can cultivate relationships where you feel secure enough to be you. There's vulnerability. Of course, physical safety is the ability to protect your body, your brain, your emotions, all of the things from physical risk like accidents or violence or illness. That one's pretty much a given, right? Spiritual safety involves that freedom to explore, to express, to practice one's spiritual beliefs without fear of judgment or harm. A sense of safety that your spiritual or your religious identity is something that has purpose and that you're allowed to do it, right? There's a broader sense of the self because you can explore, because you can express. There's a higher purpose, there's values, and all of it has the ability to be out in the open. And then financial safety, of course, refers to the ability of feeling financially well. It encompasses the stability, the significant savings that are there in case of an emergency, the financial plan that helps you through those moments of emergencies or a job loss or, if the market fluctuates, something like that. So these are the definitions of safety that we need to have in order to take that leap. When we have that sense of safety, we're not defined by our circumstances or our past or our present or even the future because we understand that we're safe to live. We have trust in the ability that we can take care of the self. And we also know that we're not really defined by everything all at once, but more so the resiliency, the capability to rise after the fall, and the willingness to ask ourselves hard questions. The beauty, and I mean the beauty of owning your truth, is you and only you get to decide what comes next. Yeah, like you get to make the decisions as to where you want to go. This is your crossroads, and you get to honor who you are, and you get to choose which step you take. Because if you are spending all your time living up to the expectations and the standards of other people, and you are not choosing your life, the life has been chosen for you, right? So we have these experiences. We're like, sure, this is ours, right? It's that call, that text about, hey, I forgot my shirt. And we take ownership. It's not something that we chose. It's a part of our existence, but we haven't chosen it. And therefore, the obligation feels like a drain. You've made decisions in the past that have led you to the point of living the life that you are, but did you choose it? Did you wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to stop apologizing for my existence, and I'm going to choose my voice and my power and my worth, and I'm going to listen to what I need and want, and I'm going to proactively live from that space? My guess is no. But owning your truth isn't just a reflection, it's about action, and that comes down to choice. You can evaluate where you are. Where do I feel in my body? Right? What decisions do I need to make? Will I continue living in comfort, the denial, or will I live in truth and transformation? This middle ground of transformation often gets people into a space of, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And it is. Awareness is hard. Living outside of what you've known for a really long time is hard. It's very hard. But you have to start somewhere, right? And so there's small actions of ownership. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not calling that person that knocks you down every time they pick up the phone. It's setting boundaries. It's saying, you will not treat me like this. Let me teach you how to treat me. It's about small acts of speaking up for yourself. It's reclaiming your time. It's showing up to your dreams, regardless of the distractions. Because every step that you take to owning your truth is a step into freedom. The freedom of knowing that you're aligned with yourself and that you can take yourself seriously, that you can take your life seriously. It's so cliche for me to say, you are the author of your story. You're the heroine in this journey. But it's the truth. I want you to think about that. You see other people living out these lives that you're like, gosh, I wish I could do that, but I'm not you. I'm not you. And that opportunity isn't in my chapter. It's not in my story. And the truth is, it wasn't in theirs either. It wasn't. They created it. The path is not always easy, but what do you want? What choice are you willing to make? What is your truth? It takes courage and conviction and a whole lot of hard work and tears and blood and sweat and all the things, right? To get to this space that this life feels organically yours. Organically mine is living in truth. So how do we get there, right? That's the question. How do we get there? How do we own our truth? One, I need you to ask yourself some brutally hard questions. If you are in the car, this is one place that I want you to pinpoint, really put a lock and key in this space, because you need to come back and ask these questions if there's any doubt in your mind of whether or not you're living your truth, right? So let me ask you some questions. The first one is this, the hardest of all questions. Who am I? And then I want you to write that out. Who am I? I don't want you to write out whose mom you are, whose dad you are, what you do for a living, who you're married to. Who are you innately? Who are you at the core? And then I want you to ask, am I living the life I've wanted? If you're not, write that out. Write out the answer. And then I want you to ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What am I avoiding? Am I avoiding the healing work? Am I avoiding hearing the limits that have been placed on me my entire life and pushing up against them? Am I avoiding the risk? What parts of myself am I hiding or suppressing? Where have I been living for others and not for myself? What would I do if I weren't afraid? I want you to write down your answers, and I don't want you to censor yourself. I want you to let the words flow, and I want to allow the state of discomfort to surface. So what? So what if you're uncomfortable for 10 minutes? Is there worse things that could happen to you? Yes, there are. Only in the rawness of your truth will you begin to see what needs to change. So what are you avoiding? Who are you? What parts of you are you hiding? What are you doing for others that you're not doing for yourself? What would you do if you weren't afraid? Can you imagine what would change if you had this evidence, this self-conversation that had no judgment to it, but instead it just had full capability of being seen? It's mind-blowing what happens in that space. And so I challenge you to do that. And only then, once you've done this work, I want you to sit down with yourself and write down what you truly believe, your deepest values, what you stand for. This is your personal blueprint to your truth. It's this declaration of who you are, who you want to be, the boundaries you're willing to set to honor yourself, and what you are willing to do. What choices are you willing to make? A few years ago, I was working with somebody who was talking about being married and living in this environment where she just felt unseen. This is a story many of us feel, right? Many of us get so used to our lives, we just sort of settle in and you're only seen here and there. This story plays out over and over and over again. And why? Because we forget that we're important. We don't teach other people how to treat us. We accept that this is what we need to choose, but it's not something that we have chosen. So what would you choose? Write that out. And then I want you to make decisions based on the alignment of those things that you have written down. These choices, it's a personal manifesto, right? I am this and I am that, and this is what I stand for, and this is what I value, and this is what I want to create, and this is my truth. And I'm going to make all my decisions based through this thing. Really important. I remember, this is silly. This is a silly thought that I want to give you, that I want to like kind of hand over because it's so small. But we take these little small things and make them into big things and then live other truths because it's easier for other people. So when I decided to become whole plant vegan, whole plant based lifestyle, which was a long time ago, I remember thinking how inconvenient that was going to be to my husband and my children and my other family members. And I felt like if I did this for myself, because I had a ton of allergies and I just wasn't feeling very good, that it may bother other people. And did I really want to listen to it? And so I kind of tiptoed into it. I never ate a lot of meat anyway, but I didn't want to really interfere with other people's values about what I eat, really. And so finally, I just gave myself permission and submerged myself into it in a way that I didn't give anybody any other choice. I didn't let their thoughts bother me. I didn't let the conversations be draining or hard. I just said, you know what? This is the decision that I made. It's for my health. Like it or not, I really don't care. Years later, I still get those little comments here and there. You're so hard to, prepare for. It's hard to go out to eat with you. Blah, blah, blah. It's a part of my personal desire. It's a part of my blueprint. It's a part of my truth. It's those little things that we're afraid of to really claim that can make all the difference for us. It's really that simple. What are your values? And then you start practicing saying no to everything that is not that thing, right? Your emergency is not my problem. Do you see where I'm going with this? We give so much. But one of the very first ways that you can own your space, your truth, is to create space for yourself. If that means saying no to people that don't honor your values, saying no to people that bring you down, the people that make you feel like you need to say yes, only diminishes you further. It diminishes your power. You have to set clear and loving boundaries as to the things that you can and cannot do and what serves you and what serves someone else. Your emergency is not my priority. I need you to do this and this and this. Yeah, you may need that from me, but why can't you do it? Why can't you make the call to the doctor? Why can't you listen and track what you need? Why do I have to do all these things for you when you can't do them yourself? More so, won't. Start saying no. What happens when we do this, especially in relationships, is we retrain the relationship, right? Hey, you're not going to treat me like this anymore, okay? And this is how this is going to go. And I'm going to stand up for myself, and you're going to understand that how this has been isn't working. And we're not going to fight our way through it, but we're going to take bold action together so that I'm not compromising my truth and we can step into alignment with one another. It's really that simple. When you start saying no, you honor you. It's a loving thing for you. And if you don't love you, you have a hard time loving others. And I know that's another cliche, but it's true. It's so true. Because if my negative thoughts are owning me, I don't have much energy to provide you with love. Instead, I'm probably going to provide you with a lot of resentment and pain and need to be seen and pushback and lack and not much care. That's not what anyone wants. And yet, when we don't care about ourselves, that tends to be the way we show up. From there, though, we have to take that one big, bold step. Like I said, when you choose an area of your life where you've been compromising your truth, and all of a sudden you take one bold step. I didn't say one massive step. I said bold. You create a different path. You create a different choice. Maybe it's starting that career change that you've been dreaming about. Maybe it's about having that difficult conversation with a loved one. Maybe it's about taking time for yourself, and it's really that simple. Or maybe it's understanding that you've been pouring from an empty cup and you can't. Action is the gateway to transformation. Again, I'm going to say it because that is the thing that I want you to take away from today. Action is the gateway to transformation. And then I want you to surround yourself with your truth. The people that you surround yourself influence your ability to own your truth. If you're in a negative environment all the time, it's going to be a complete contradiction to this truth that you're trying to own. And you're going to have to find people who support you in another way, right? Find the people who encourage authenticity. Instead of slapping them down, instead of telling them that they're wrong and that you're not worthy and that in any other time it would be different, grab their hand. Let the beauty that they're reflecting onto you be genuine. Seek out relationships that nourish you, that inspire you, that hold you accountable, right? That say, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe that's the bad way to go. Maybe that's them that are challenging you to the level that you need to be in order to get where you need and want to be. Choice. Again, what choices are you making? Do they align with your truth? And then you practice compassion. Because guess what? Your truth is not about perfection, and your truth isn't perfect. No matter what, it's about progress, right? You're going to mess this up. I don't know how many times I say it because I mean it. You will mess it up. Understand that the process of being you, of owning your truth in your fullest light, takes time, and there are going to be moments of hot doubt. Oh my gosh. There is going to be so much doubt. And yet you have to remember that every step that you take allows you to embrace the truth of who you are, the truth of what you want to be, the truth of the existence you are trying to create. When you know that, you live in this presence and alignment. You connect to this inner knowing, this space that is your truest voice, whatever you want to call that, intuition, soul, self, I don't care, doesn't matter. But it's this authentic place. It's this place that guides you when you allow yourself to listen, because it's through a place of center. You begin to question, does this feel right for me, to me? It's so much easier to live from that space because you make choices from that space. And every day that you're faced with a choice, you show up in the way that best serves you. What do I want to do with my time? How do I want to respond to this challenge? Do I want to live from this place? And you begin to deeply align every single moment. Does this choice reflect my truest self? Will this bring me closer to who I am and who I want to be? Is this a response to pressure or fear? And you surrender to your journey when you live in your truth. You live from a place where you begin to trust the process of your life. Uncertainty, still going to be there. Fear, yep, that too. But you understand that those things are not your final destination. You begin to surrender control and you trust the process and you live presently. And in all of that, you start to dismantle the stories. You challenge the beliefs. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm never going to be good enough. I'm not smart. The self-perception that keeps you away from your fullest potential. And you redefine success under your terms. Society tells us that, success is wealth and it's status and it's accolades, but your truest self, your true person in there, it may look totally different. It may not be about the things. It may be about these deep, meaningful relationships, this alignment with your value, this compass, right? Having the freedom to express yourself. What does your success look like? Because when you do that, you live in this deep harmony. You embody it all. And then you begin to design your surroundings from that alignment. It's so beautiful. Can you be taken out? Sure. But you let go of the toxic. You move into new spaces, into new things. You pursue your soul. Oh, can you feel that? When I live from truth, I pursue my soul. I bring myself into this deep sense of fulfillment, contribution, and meaning. I'm able to walk through what I need and want, and I live from the call of my soul, even if it takes me down unexpected paths. And it's here that we love ourselves. It's here that there's safety. Because living as your truest self requires courage and vulnerability and self-compassion, and it's a lifelong journey, right? No matter how raw or imperfect, it's not this illusion of you. It's not the should, but it is you. So I ask you one more time, who are you? And are you living as your truest self? When you do, is when you fully get your life together. Thank you so much for listening to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast. If you've enjoyed these tips and tools for bettering your life, please follow me on social media if you're not already at Get Your Life Together Girl on Instagram, TikTok, Insight Timer, Clapper, Threads, YouTube. There's so many different places. Join me there. If you would also like some deeper understanding, check out my blog on getyourlifetogethergirl.com. You can also find different downloadables and journals and prompts and other videos there. Join me on Insight Timer. It's a free downloadable app. There are literally millions of like-minded people there learning to meditate and taking courses and classes. I do a live there every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central where you can join conversations, much like this podcast, and ask questions while I am live. I'm so excited for you to join me there. Please also, if you're an Apple subscriber, look into the exclusive content membership. $6.99 a month, and you're getting episodes and content that you're not getting anywhere else. Thank you so much for being the most valuable part of this community. Feel free to rate this episode and the podcast. Until we meet again, be kind to yourself and others.